Welcome to the Law, Your Money, and You. I'm Roberta Saphire, an attorney in Massachusetts.
And I'm Camille Barron, a financial consultant and health advocate, also in Massachusetts.
Good.
And we have a guest who has not been on our show before.
No, but he's a unique individual, and we are really excited, and so is he, to be here. Welcome, welcome, Michael Wilbur.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
That's a loaded question. I am a law student at Roger Williams, studying in entertainment and sports law is my goal, the outcome of my education. Then I also work in television production and have for almost a decade now, pretty exclusively more recently on Wahlburgers, the TV show. Here in Boston, following around Mark, Donnie, Paul,
Really?
Alma, their
Interesting.
mom.
I don't know where to go, whether to go, we'll do both. The TV, mostly not so much the TV, but that he's in cable,
Yes.
which is, we've been in cable almost 10 years now. And then the law school,
Yeah.
which is fascinating. I mean, it's, let's do the law school, and then we'll go to the more exciting thing.
Sure.
Although
Sure.
law school is very exciting, and I understand you're doing very well in it.
I'm pushing as hard as I can.
What made you want this falls in with the choice of what young people
sure.
do, because
Yes.
the young people today, they're just worried about
Right.
maybe they're not worried about the tuition.
That's true.
That's part of why I went where I went. I will say that much. Absolutely.
Well, what do you mean why you went where you went? 'Cause
Tuition, at least. Yeah.
well, you're 29 now.
Yes.
When did you start to go to college, and then when did you start to go to law school? Give us the background for young people out there, because what you are is really an inspiration to youth, and you're our future. Right?
I'm just somebody that played the guessing game pretty well, I guess. I went to Providence College right after high school in like 2007. And 2007. And spent my first 3 years there. And then towards the end decided, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And had started working on a TV show locally then. And was splitting my time between school and TV. And at the time thought, maybe I should just explore this TV route.
Well, was it cable TV, or was it?
It was Ghost Hunters on Saphire. So I was traveling around with them, and we would go to haunted locations. We'd spend overnights in the location, and it was kind of a unique situation where I was part of the TV crew, and we would film a separate company who did the ghost hunting.
I think I saw that. But what's interesting is at the cable TV here, they have interns that come in and they
Yeah.
think they want to do it. So here's another inspiration for kids that are thinking, well, they can go. I mean, you were a different cable, but they could go to their local cable TV show.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And even more so, having worked in local cable later on, you get more of that in-depth hands-on with everything. You know how to edit, you know how to film, you know how to do pretty much the whole gambit. Whereas in my world, it was I just met the right guy, talked to him, and had a good conversation, and I became an assistant. And so I learned by just assimilation, as opposed to when I came into the local cable world, it was a world of, hey, here is a camera, now you go do it. And it wasn't, oh, well, I see that's how that guy focuses, and that's how that guy sets up his shot. It was oh, I have the camera now. I need to get this right.
Yeah.
So with that kind of an experience, if you're looking in the cable world, I would say that the better way to do it isn't probably the way that I did it. The better way to do it is the local cable, kind of go in, get your feet wet. If you really enjoy that, you now know what aspect of TV you want to go into at the other kind of level, and you have a background in it as well. So if you want to go into, say, film Ghost Hunters as a cameraman, not as an assistant, you can say, hey, I worked in local cable. I know how to focus. I know how to white balance everything. I know my basics of a camera, and it's not just hey, I went to film school, so give me a job.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
Sure.
Better than film school in a way.
Absolutely. It's real world experience, and there's nothing better than that. I mean, that's why internships exist. It's to get you out of a classroom and to get you into the real world and see, like, oh, this is what people do in this actual
So
job.
which local cables TV?
I've done
town?
work with both Fall River and Watertown. Fall River I've done more so events and kind of things like that. I used to do stand-up comedy as a college kid, just as a stress relief, blow off steam thing. I mean, some people have poetry.
Right.
I had guitar and comedy.
Fantastic.
So I
Did
would
you bring
do
your
that
guitar
from
today?
Oh God, I haven't played in years. I've gone more so in like, I'll do like jazz electronic.
So that was
things
in
now.
Massachusetts, though.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
where did you live at the time? Did you live in Rhode Island or Massachusetts?
I lived between, it would either be in Providence, I lived for a while. I lived in Freetown, all over southern Mass.
So you weren't afraid to move?
No, not at all. I lived in LA for a little while. Worked out at Paramount Studios out there.
Really?
Worked for Apple out there for a little while. Things like that.
Interesting. So you've experienced both the very large corporate environment,
Yes.
working in that same venue, so to speak, but then the small local.
Very
as
much
well.
that, both in the film world. I'm trying to in the law world now, and just every aspect.
Well,
'Cause
what happened with Paramount?
Paramount was a very unique situation. It was I was just taking random film jobs here and there, living in Los Angeles, and a friend of mine at a party introduced me to a friend of his from home who had his own production company on the lot at Paramount, and said, we have a budget, we have somebody who's giving us money, but we're not very good at picking out stories or deciding what stories we want to produce into films. Would you be willing to read what are called log lines or log books for us and give us pitches for these things? And so it's basically a log book. Say an agency would give you this booklet of 20, 25 different 1 to 2 sentence pitches for a movie. And so from that, you would ask whoever sent the booklet for a treatment. You'd get so much of that script, you might get the whole script. And then from that, you can decide, okay, maybe we want to produce this, maybe we want to buy this from somebody. And so I would go through those log books, I'd pick out what I thought was interesting, request scripts and things like that, and eventually give it to my boss to say, hey, like maybe you want to pitch this could be something that you could produce here.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it was
never
very,
do
very
that.
unique.
I didn't
It
know
sounds
they
it,
do that.
right.
So then, now you're back here. Let's talk
Yeah.
about how you got to law school.
Yes.
Gee.
I had, it was almost one fortuitous event and one not very fortuitous that brought me there.
Boy, you really moved around,
Quite a
huh?
bit, yeah.
What'd your mother have to say about that?
Please don't move, don't spend so much money, be responsible, just make good decisions. The normal mom worried things.
Yeah, so this was, you were a junior now, so did you leave
I had
college?
left and I came back a couple years later and went back to school to finish.
Yeah, see that? So you were a college dropout.
It was very important to me the whole time. It was always in the back of my head in TV that I never wanted to go without that.
I did the same thing.
It was-
I left college. Years later, I went back to law school.
It felt right, and I still think it was right because I wasn't ready to enter the workforce then with a degree. I wasn't ready to take on the responsibilities that came with that, to say, hey, not only do I have the education, but I have the ability to hold myself up here every single day in the way that I should. I needed that time to go work in TV, to live on the other side of the country, to learn about myself, go back and finish and say, hey, you know what, now not only do I have the education, I can be responsible enough with this education to show up every day and give you the level that you deserve.
Fantastic.
So I want to hear when you went to law school. Did you go back to college and get a degree
I did.
first?
I did
Yeah.
that first, and then I worked a little bit more in Wahlburgers, took a couple of different TV jobs. I made a movie with Ridley Scott last year.
With who?
Ridley Scott, who's the man who did
Ridley
Gladiator,
Scott.
who did
Oh, yeah.
Robin Hood, those kind of movies.
Now, how did you get to them? Because I know a lot of the kids in this area, they go to LA looking for
Right.
Hopeful, but you weren't in LA when you were doing this, right?
Right. I was lucky that typically every summer, Boston is a very big film area. Not so much with TV. TV tends to be hit or miss. A lot of the time you'll get National Geographic coming in for the big universities and things. I've done a lot of like research projects with them. But film-wise in the summer, there are huge, huge tax breaks in Boston. And not only that, but you can shoot Boston to look like Chicago. If you shoot on Boylston, you can shoot that to look like downtown LA, to make it look like New York. And it costs probably 30 to 50% less than shooting in those actual locations.
So there's hope for me and Camille.
Yeah. So once you're already into things and you're working, everybody's communicating. It's almost like film is very much so not even who you know, it is a do you know anybody? Because as long as you go in, you put on your time, and you show that you're you care about your work and you do hard work, people will call you for jobs left and right. It's just a matter of getting that foot in the door, and it's really the world that we live in is all technological nowadays. That's your foot in the doorway, I would say. Staff Me Up is a website that people use all the time in my world.
Staff Me Up.
And
That one.
it can be free or paid. There's no issue with either one of them, but every major studio is going to post their jobs on there
Really?
when they're coming locally.
Do they have to be union? I heard something about
No,
union.
Staff Me Up is specifically non-union. It's for local freelancers wherever you want to be. So even if you live in Boston, but you have family, say, in Chicago, and they'll say, can you work as a local here? So yeah, I can live with my family. You can get a job in Chicago on there, non-union job, full regular day rate that they would pay anywhere else. It's nationwide, worldwide, and once you've gotten your foot in the door with that, people will just call you left and right from, oh, hey, I saw you worked with so-and-so on HGTV. I saw you, I got a recommendation from Wahlburgers. Are you free at this time?
Now, how'd you get Wahlburgers?
I fell into it by accident.
Really? Tell us.
I was working on a show called Preached that was done by one of the people that started The Bachelor. She'd grown up here in Boston, lives out in LA with her husband, and they'd met this preacher who used to kind of be a hoodlum in college. He got arrested a couple times, he was involved in drugs and things, and then just one day came to the light and became a preacher and lives in Beverly, Mass. And so Verizon picked up the show and they were out here for a month filming that. And
I think I heard about that.
I had
That's where
staffed
that
me up.
lady comes from, Beverly, Mass.
Mm-hmm.
I had staffed me up the job. I got the
Oh,
job.
Staff Me Up.
And that was a solid month every single day, 6 days a week. We worked up in Beverly shooting the show. And the last couple of days, one of the guys that was a cameraman said, like, hey, Wilbur, what are you doing next week? So, like, I'm going to LA at the end of the week, but I'm not doing anything Monday through Friday. Why? I was like, oh, I've got a show that I work on. We need somebody. Would you be interested in doing it? It's over in Hingham in, like, the shipyard. I was like, yeah, that sounds really cool. Like, absolutely. Showed up that Monday, just doing normal prep work for a day. And our boss comes in, meet him, talk to him, and he just casually drops, like, okay, so we're going to go to Alma's house, and we're going to meet there with Donnie. And I'm like, I don't know, like, who are these people? Like, so we're going to Alma Wahlberg's house, and we're going to meet with her son, Donnie Wahlberg. I'm like, oh, that's the show that so this is my job now. Very cool, I'm in. That was 2.5 years ago now.
Oh,
Wow.
Isn't
Right.
that wonderful?
Yeah.
My mother always used to say, if you get an invitation, go. Just go to anything, even if it's the opening of an envelope. Go.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? This is what I'm seeing right now. I'm seeing someone, whether it's TV, film, law school, I'm seeing someone who puts himself out there and does the right thing, and the opportunities open up. I don't think it's by accident.
No, it's not always comfortable to do these things at all. It's not like
No.
sometimes I'm sitting at home and like,
Well, it's like I tell people, don't wait for other people to do it for you. Even the college things, they say, don't wait for the guidance counselor. The responsibility lies on you. So that's good. You took it. You didn't wait for anybody else.
No, it really is you know what, it might be uncomfortable for 20 minutes. It might be uncomfortable the whole time you're there.
Mm.
But you know what,
that's
networking
beautiful,
events are in existence for a reason. You meet people for a reason. And I fully subscribe to, it's almost kind of like my life mantra of, you can't get through life alone.
Mm.
You can't. You have to rely on other people. And in that, you also have to give reliance to other people.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to rely on other people, you can't just constantly be taking. You also have to supply something too.
Right.
So
That's great.
fully in the belief of, you know what, if it's uncomfortable, deal with it, because you might be helping somebody else out, and it's probably going to help you out too in the long run.
I was at this networking event, what you're saying falls in place, and this woman says what she does is she asks people what can she do for them. And, you know, if, well, I'm all set with this or that, you know, no, not even in your business, just in your house or anything, just anything at all. There must be something that you're looking for. And I mean, we had a koi fish pond at the time, which had nothing to do with anything. And I said, well, I'm looking for somebody who'll do this for the koi fish pond. And would you believe a few days later, she called me up. She says, I have the name of somebody. And that was a big event. And I was so impressed with that, you know, I'm still remembering it years later. But we have a function facility, and months after that, she calls me up. This is before email and everything, and she needed a special meal, you know, either, you know, lactose or something like that. Could I do it for her? I says, of course I can. And I made sure, I went double out of my way to make sure it was a beautiful dinner for her.
Right.
And all because, and look, I forget who she was, but I'm relaying the story about what can I do for you, and that sort of is something like you said, you do for
Absolutely.
other people. But
Absolutely.
you should do. There's a nice, that's the bells of St. Mary ringing. But you should do. People do. It's nice to do things. You do
Yeah.
get a good feeling from doing good things for people.
Absolutely.
And sooner or later, somewhere down the road, it pays off. I was in the fancy restaurant one time, and the waitress, all of a sudden, we start getting these complimentary hors d'oeuvres. And I go, oh, we didn't order these. They go, no, she did. And the girl came over to me. She says 10 years earlier, they were out in the rain, and I told them to come in, and I even gave them dry T-shirts, Saphire Manna T-shirts, and let them go out with them, and they'll always remember that I let them, that I not only called them in out of the rain, I gave them dry stuff, and she was paying me back 10 years later. Wasn't that nice?
kidding.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew
People think
that?
all the time that it's
Yeah.
the big things. More often than
Yeah.
not, it's simple as, you know, oh, I paid for the person behind me's cup of coffee at Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
It's more often, I find, the tiniest little thing is what goes further than the,
It does.
hey, I bought you a house. Okay, well,
Oh, I
well,
bought you
great,
a
now this
house.
is awkward. How do I pay you back? This,
Yeah.
Right.
I don't understand.
So now, let's
have our
talk
audience
about where
do
you
it.
are now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're in law school.
Correct.
Is the film thing still going on now?
Yes, I actually just yesterday wrapped up shooting with Alma, another scene for our next season of Wahlburgers, which will come out, I believe it's June 14th is our first episode.
Really? So what's it been like working with them?
They are fantastic. Alma, their mother, is like my grandmother. She is,
Means soul in Spanish.
she's
Alma.
unbelievable, one of the nicest people of all time.
Isn't that nice?
These
Very
guys
nice.
are some of the hardest working people you'll ever meet. I mean, Mark is up at 3 a.m. every day, calls his mother every day, every single kid does.
Really?
Oh yeah, that's Alma's biggest thing. Whenever she talks to her children, like, call me. You just call your mother, even just to say hello. She gave birth to you. Say hi.
Wow.
She got them trained good.
Very much so. Yeah, you have
that's
9 kids in the
good.
50s.
Nine?
Nine kids.
No kidding.
Yep.
Wow.
Of which, go figure, Mark is the youngest.
Really?
He's
Yep.
the youngest.
The baby.
Oh my goodness.
But you know what impressed me about him? You know, they stand out and they don't stand out. What impressed me about him is he's using his popularity for business and
Ooh,
to
yes.
kind of like make hay while the sun shines, and using it in a good, sensible direction.
Absolutely. I mean, who would think that your name's Wahlberg? You get made fun of as a kid to be, hey, it's the Wahlburger family. And go
Yeah.
figure, you take the pun of your name as a kid, and now it's a multi-million-dollar business that everybody in the world wants to not only watch on TV, but go eat at.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's a
That's
good "You've got
amazing.
to be kidding" segment there. We'll bring that up again. But what are the oldest ones doing?
They just work around Boston. They're very common folk, not anything involved in the business or anything. Some of them come on our show every now and then. That's about it.
Oh, isn't that nice? That's
Paul
nice.
is an amazing chef, world-renowned. My parents and I just ate there a couple weeks ago at his fancy restaurant, Almanove, and they would say top 3 meals they've ever had.
Really?
Now, where is Alma Nove? Because the Alma's after the mother.
Right.
So is that down?
And Nove 9 for the 9 kids.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nove, yeah, 9.
So
Alma
that's
Nove,
down in the
9.
Hingham Shipyard.
Wow. It's amazing.
Is that great? Alma
Yeah.
Nove. What a great name. I
Yeah.
like that name.
It's a beautiful place. Very big with the coach of our football team here in town too.
Really?
Yes.
Well, the football team has good appetites.
Absolutely, yeah,
Oh.
to say the least.
So let's go back. So you're doing that,
Right.
and you're doing the law school. So
Right.
law school, you just had your finals. And
Very difficult, but yeah.
And how did you do?
I will find out in the next 3 weeks. I just found out this morning.
But
They
I
gave us the
heard you were,
dates.
from the grapevine, you were in the top of your class with all this other stuff, too.
I'm pushing it. I'm up in the top there. Just put in all the effort I can, and whatever comes out of it, you can't be sad, because as long as you put it all out there, you get nothing left.
So
in the
next
tank.
year's your last year, right?
I got one more after that, 2 more.
Hmm.
Depending on if I take
Oh.
summer classes or not, I would be 1.5, 2 more years.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
And what's your vision for after?
I'm
question.
following along with whatever I've kind of like deemed as mentors are helping me along with. I came in with an idea of our former showrunner at Wahlburgers. His wife is a counsel at Warner Brothers, so I had picked her brain and his brain a bit about like what she does. I'm also really interested in being an agent, either for talent, sports, or music and film. That's a little bit less so because it's not really working with law, I find. It's more so working for a person and advocating for them inside of the law.
But that's specialized, too, for sports.
Very. So I've been studying a lot of employment and labor law and collective bargaining agreements, how sports leagues operate with them, how they are somehow not behooving to antitrust laws federally. And I've been trying to build up research and work towards writing an article ultimately on, I'm very interested in baseball and sport negotiations with Cuba. Because I mean, this is a country we've had an embargo with forever, and I'm very intrigued as to how do we scout players in Cuba? How do we negotiate with them to sign these deals here?
When you say scout players, you mean take them from Cuba and come
Right,
here?
because technically you can't go there on business. So how do we know that these players have the talents that we want and everything like that? You've got to have somebody scouting. How do we sign them? We can't do business negotiations while they're in Cuba. So how is it that we get these players signed to play in these sports leagues?
How would you get them out?
What little research I found thus far is it seems like it's human trafficking.
No kidding,
Oh,
really?
yeah, look at that.
So they're taking a big risk.
Very much so. They're paying
With that,
large
I
amounts.
go, you've got to be kidding. I knew that.
That
You've
bag
got to
is
be
definitely kidding
That
me. Yeah.
blew open the envelope. No, but that's fascinating. You know
Yeah.
who wanted to do that? Tony's grandson. There's another fellow from Rhode Island, but he's probably 10 years younger than you. I'm going to tell him to call you.
You should. That'd
right
be
in
great to
Rhode
partner
Island.
up with somebody on that one.
He's brilliant too. He's brilliant too. But you are I told you he was absolutely fascinating.
You did.
I want to bring out where I met him.
Yeah.
I'll give my daughter-in-law, my son, my 42-year-old son turned 42 in September, and in October he got married, and now they're having a little Saphire on the way, which is also known as the baby bump. And we met Michael at the wedding, and we just concentrated the whole time on Michael because he was so fascinating. That's Alex's cousin.
No
Alex
kidding,
is our
really?
your daughter-in-law, short for
Family's
Alexandra.
family.
Yeah, but and the funny thing is his whole family has these vibrant personalities.
We're all very different. We're not unique at all. Of course we are.
No, very vibrant. But I mean, what captures you about him is not just his personality, but the fact that he was in cable TV, local cable, which probably people at the cable station will be interested. But one of the places that you were in cable is Watertown, and Joy on our advisory board is from Watertown, which I understand is 1 square mile.
It's a very small
Are
place.
you serious?
Very,
That's so
very
you've got to
small.
be kidding.
Okay, you've got to be kidding.
Watertown is 1 square mile? Are you
Yeah,
really?
1 square mile.
I have no idea, actually.
Yeah,
I
1
know it is
square
very
mile,
small.
but it's loaded with these big apartment buildings. It's a big city.
No.
And they are very, their town council is very good, I must say, at maintaining what they are as a town and keeping picturesque kind of things. You can't have drive-throughs at your restaurants.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
There's, Massachusetts being one of the only places with a land court in the country.
I didn't know that either.
yeah.
And I should know that. I thought everybody had a land
No,
court.
Massachusetts, the only state with one in the
There's
U.S.
another you've got to be kidding.
I'm gonna. Yeah, you better be kidding. You're loaded with. You've got to be kidding.
And
I
so
didn't know.
Watertown's very beholden to that, and they stick to what the land court says for aesthetic reasons. For you can only have 1 story at certain places and things like that.
So they probably changed all the laws because the only time really you register property in the land court is because it's different than what was there to begin
If
with.
you have
and
you're looking for a
there's-
variance, something
Yeah,
with
all
special
that.
use or something like
But
that.
once
Yeah.
it's in the land court, you should be set.
Yes.
Because that's the final word. You don't look beyond there once it's in the land court. But that's fascinating. I never knew that. You've got to be kidding. Of course, I'm going to check that out.
I had a friend who clerked for the judge at the land court his whole last semester, which is how I learned
Oh,
about it all.
that's a good experience.
Very much so.
Because from there they can get jobs. Years ago, by the way, I won't say how many years, but Jerry just passed my husband Jerry just passed the 50-year mark. But I remember I was working for a local city council way back then, and they offered me a clerkship at the Supreme Court, and I turned it down because I figured all it was doing was reading and writing, and I go, that's too boring for me.
It is a lot of reading and writing, to say the least.
No, I know, but
you're
I mean,
writing opinions.
I'm
and
happy.
things.
I always like my time and my free. But I mean, that's a wonderful opportunity.
He
for
loved
them.
it. Loved it.
And they do more. They're doing mock trials now at high school, and some of these high schools don't even have lawyers to advise them as coaches, which I find fascinating too.
I mean, I remember doing debate in high school and loving it, and if you told me that I could have had an attorney as guiding me along the way, that would have been unbelievable. I mean, I had a blast doing it, but if I had someone who's like, hey, this is my job, so let me give you some tips.
Well, you know what else you might be interested to? I hope I've given you some ideas too to volunteer. They have throughout the high schools throughout the country, actually throughout the world, these speech and debate clubs, which are more like acting, and it brings out it brings out their abilities, which they don't know they have yet.
It's that public
It's really-
speaking thing, and then get that fear out of the
Yes,
way.
the public speaking, and with that,
We're going to have to
Camille
wrap
is
up.
winding
Yeah.
up, wrapping
Yes.
up.
Yes.
Wrapping up.
I
And
feel exhausted just
promise
by
I'll-
listening. He's just so
I know.
full of ideas and wonderful stories.
I'll have a better book. I'll have a better bag next time.
Okay.
With less stuff.
All right.
Go for it,
Oh,
Camille.
we thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you
And
guys
she
for
was
having me.
right.
That was a blast.
It was fascinating to listen to you.
Yeah, I'm going to check.
Fascinating on my end, too.
And I
I've
think
got
you-
ideas swirling around for me.
You're
Yeah,
going to be
we
an
very
inspiration to
cool.
a lot of people. And
I
we're
hope
very
so.
grateful that you were here.
I hope people come in. I hope people, want to be involved in everything. Want to be involved in
Absolutely.
law, want to be
Yeah,
involved
now
in
you
film.
know you can be involved. You
Yeah.
could be a coach with some of these high school kids go in there.
Yeah.
I could just envision him doing that.
I operate on the Patriot way, just to let you know. So it's
All right. Well, anyway, we want to thank our viewers for watching the show today. And of course, if you have questions or like to know more about this topic and this wonderful gentleman, please let us know and we'll be sure your message gets through. And of course, let us hear from you about any other ideas, questions, or even topics for the show. Because remember, this is your show. The law, your money, and you.